Keith Rucker, VintageMachinery.org. Guys, I was down at the Flywheelers swap meet down in Florida, a big tractor show they have down there every year, a little while ago. And while I was there, I was lucky enough to pick up one of these Beverly number 2A Throatless shears. This is for cutting sheet metal up to 10 gauge thick. It's a little hand operated shear, and basically you can cut lengths, pretty much endless lengths, because the sheet metal kind of goes above and below this as you're cutting it, separates it, and you can just keep on going, cuts nice radiuses, etc. Now, when I found it, it looks like it's a rusted up hunk of metal, and yes, it does have a little bit of rust on it, but when I got to looking at it, it's actually dirtier than rusty, and it actually looks like it's in decent shape. It just needs a good cleaning and a little bit of paint, a couple little things here and there, and I think this thing will be just like it was brand new. So in this video, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and tear this thing down and do a quick restoration on it, get it up to running. I've actually got a new set of blades already in for this, so we'll go ahead and put new blades in it and hopefully have us a nice new addition to the tool, or to the shop, a new tool addition to the shop that we can use out here on projects. So let's get in there and start tearing this thing apart. Let's start by taking the handle off. Looks like we got a bolt that goes through here, and I'm going to start by just hitting this with some penetrating oil. I'm using a product called Knocker Loose made by CRC. This is something that they sent me to try out, and I've actually been pretty impressed with this stuff. I've used a lot of different penetrating oils over the years, and this one so far to me looks like it's working maybe a little above average. So I have not let this stuff soak, but a little bit on there will hopefully help this thing come apart. There we go. Got a little brass hammer. Don't want to mess the threads up on that, although I will probably end up replacing that bolt. There we go. All right, looks like next we need to kind of start working on taking these parts off here. So let me grab some wrenches. Hit and squirt a little bit in there while I'm at it. See if I can't break it loose. There we go. And again, with the brass hammer, well, that might thread out. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I think it is. Guys, this is nothing but pure laziness. I'm just going to use an impact driver to pull these out. There we go. And let's get the other side going here as well. I'm going to start with a wrench. That's going to come pretty easy. All right, so that little gear piece comes out. Okay. All right, so now we got a little bolt here on the front that holds that front blade in place. Tell you what, let's okay, that comes off, and there's your other blade. These can probably be sharpened. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this blade off as well. Just got a couple of socket cap screws or socket screws in the bottom there. I need to get these screws out here, and these are in there pretty tight. These are in there pretty tight. I'm having trouble getting them, so I'm going to see if I can hit them with this impact wrench and see if they'll come on out. They are in there good. That one came on, it sounds like. May have broken that other one. Those things are in there. Let's see if we can get it on out. Stripped it. Well, let's see if we can do a little getter out here. I want to try to get these two screws out. I think we just stripped the hex head in both of these. I think they're still in there. And I'm going to take a center punch and a hammer, and we're just going to put some taps on these. Sometimes that'll help break them loose, and I'm going to try to kind of tap them, see if I can get them started turning by just tapping them with a center punch. So let me see if I can get a good dent started in there, and then we'll yeah, see, I done broke it loose. So that one there, maybe, yeah, I can get that out now. All right, let's try that on the other one over here. We'll have to replace these screws, obviously. Try the same thing. All right, that one broke loose. Look at there, look at there. All right, got lucky. That was not as bad as I was afraid it was going to be. But anyway, we should be able to just replace these screws. I'll have to see if I got some like that. If not, I'll get some ordered. And there goes our blade. It's got a couple little dings in there, but again, we can probably sharpen these. I'm assuming the bottom one is adjustable, so you can should be able to. But we got a brand new set, so I'll save those though for later on. I took all these parts over to the parts washer and scrubbed them down with mineral spirits and a little wire brush, and was pleasantly surprised to find that we still have the original paint on this stuff. It was not as rusty as I thought it was. It was really more just covered in a layer of dirt. I think what may have happened was that somebody had oiled this thing down really good in a shop, and then it just sat in that shop for years, and the dust just kind of all stuck to that oil. It was the dirt that was on here really thick. It wasn't rusty. It was just really dirty, and once we got it cleaned up, it's actually in excellent shape up underneath it. So great news there. I think what I'm just going to do, no more than what we've got here, there's only a few parts. I'm probably just going to get the good old wire wheel out and clean these things up, and we'll put a fresh coat of paint on it. And I think it'll be ready to put back together. This is going to be a fairly simple and easy restoration project. So probably won't bore you to death with wire wheeling this stuff, but between the wire wheel on the grinder and a handheld wire wheel in the angle grinder, we will get all this stuff finished, cleaned up, and ready to shoot some paint on it. All right, we got all this cleaned up now on the wire wheel. It is ready for painting. I have wiped it down with some denatured alcohol. And before I stripped what little bit of paint was left on here off, I went over and I was trying to find something that was a close match to it, and it was almost a perfect match to the gray color that I have my big 28-inch Monarch painted. And as it turns out, I've still got some paint left over from that project, so painting it that kind of battleship gray color. And like I said, it's a really close match. And I've said this before, on cast iron, guys, I tend to just use a brush. On rough castings, it just gets right down in there into all those pores very nicely and lays down a really nice layer of paint on there. You know, for something like sheet metal, I'll spray it, but honestly, I hate getting the sprayer out for a small job like this too. And when this stuff dries, you will not be able to tell that it was painted with a brush, I promise you. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. There's a little recess on this side, and I'll just kind of, a lot of times I'll mask this with paint, but since this is all raised up higher, I can come through here with my rag that's got a little bit of mineral spirits on it and just clean that, any paint that I got outside of the lines there. And we should be good there, so. All right, I think we got her painted. We're going to let that paint cure overnight, and we can probably put her back together tomorrow. Well, I got everything painted now, and paint has cured for a little while. We got things cleaned up, and we are ready to put this thing back together. So I think what I'm going to start with before I do anything else is I want to take just a minute and make sure that we got these surfaces here. I've noticed there's some little ridges in here, some high spots and so forth. I'm going to take one of my precision ground flat stones and just kind of hit this, make sure I don't have any high spots in there. So these precision ground flat stones have been ground perfectly flat over on the surface grinder. This is not just a regular sharpening stone. So these have been doctored up, and these were done by Lance Baltzy. He's actually making these. If you're interested, you can get up with him. He can get you a set. But what I'm doing is I'm just kind of hitting these, and you can see the shiny spots, which kind of shows the high places. And if there's any bad burrs on here, I may get a file and kind of knock them back first. And I do see, looks like right in here, there's some marks. So let me grab a file. I'm going to kind of knock those back, and then we'll stone them some more. Can't tell what someone did, but these parts here rub right up against another piece, and they need to be nice and smooth. So let me do this again. Yeah, that's a lot better. You can feel with these stones, if there's a burr on there, you can really feel it. And that feels real good now. So, you know, basically we just clean that up. Got any burrs off of it? These stones are sold in a pair, and they're both ground. And you can just kind of rub them against each other and true them back up after you do something. And we'll do the same thing here. I'm bridging across both of these, keep them in the same plane. And that one there feels real good. We'll do the same thing here. Yeah, that's good. This may not seem like much, guys, but I'm going to tell you something. Hitting it with these stones just really kind of makes it just right. And I'm going to do it on this surface up here too. That one's a little bit rough. It's coming right out. That's good. All right, and we'll get the other side here. So I got a little bit of paint on that one. So I'm going to take a razor blade first and just kind of scrape that machine surface. Get that paint off of there. Okay. Now we'll take our stone. Tell you what, let me rub these two together first. Again, you can feel it right through these stones. When it's got a little burr on there, you can feel it, and then as soon as it's gone, you can it's hard to explain, but the more I use these stones, the more I like them. Anyway, that's good. I'm going to put Lance's email address or his website, I guess, on here. If anybody's interested in these stones, like I said, he's got a grinder set up and making them, and I don't want to sound like I'm hawking this product too much, but it's a dang good product, and I have been very happy with mine. So that is good. These are ready to go back together. So next thing I think I need to do is install my knives. So I've got right here a brand spanking new set of knives, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but I did a little horse trading with Jim Bollinger. He had these. He had found them in an auction lot that he bought. He didn't have the shear to go with them, but when he saw that I had the shear, we did a little trading, and I got those from him. So I did look online, and these are still available. You can order them. You can order them from Beverly, and then there's also some knockoffs of these shears that are out there by some of the import companies, and supposedly you can get knives from them as well. These are original Beverly's, and I'm sure that the steel is probably a little bit better in these than what you might get in one of the offshore ones. I'm speculating, but I think it's a pretty fair bet. I think I'm going to go over to my parts washer. It's got a little kind of a Cosmoline type material in here to keep them from rusting. To go get that cleaned up. I'll be right back. All right, we got the film off of this, and while I had them, by the way, I checked the angle of the cutting angle on this cutting side, and it's about 80 degrees or about 10 degrees off of square. And I wanted to check that because I've got the old knives that were on this, and they are dull. And I'm going to see if I can get them over to my surface grinder and maybe sharpen those old blades and keep them as a backup set in case I ever mess these up. I'll just have some on hand I can get. So let me get these put in here. The new set of knives, by the way, came with a set of new screws. I thought I was going to have to find some or buy some new screws here, but turns out came right there with the set, so no need for that. All right, get these tightened up. And I think we're ready to start putting this thing back together now. So we'll start. Again, we got our blade already mounted on this piece, and I'm going to go ahead and get a bolt kind of started back here in the back, okay? And then we've got our little lever here. We'll get a bolt started on this side. And then, as you can see, when you drop the handle down, it just snips away. So now we'll get our back piece on here. And this is threaded on both sides, so we'll just go ahead and get get this going here. Start tightening that up. That feels pretty good. And there's a little lock washer here and a jam nut Then we'll tighten up from the other side. Let's see, grab a bigger wrench. All right. So next thing we want to do is go ahead and put in our bottom blade here. And it's kind of got a little dovetail up here on the front that catches it in there. There's a clamp on this side that comes in here like such. Let's see, there we go. And that, when you tighten it down, it just presses it back up against into that dovetail and holds it in place. But there's also two little set screws that come in on the side here that allows you to adjust it in and out. So this one here, we got a little spacer that goes in there. And then there's just a socket head set screw on this side. And that is used to actually adjust the gap in here. And I'm going to get a feeler gauge out here in just a minute and we'll check those. So you get this one in here as well. Snug this up just a little bit. It's a little bit too tight. Now you want a little bit of a gap in between the blades here, and according to the instructions, you want that gap to be between 1/4 and 1/10 of the thickness of the metal that you're cutting. Now this will cut up to a 10 gauge steel, and 10 gauge is 134 thousandths. So what I want to do is I need to put about a 13 thousandths gap in there. That's a 1/10 of that, and you know, that'll be about as you know, if you put a thinner piece in here, it's going to be closer to that 1/4 of your thickness range, but 13 thousandths I think will be a good one. So let me get a feeler gauge set and we'll get that measured out in there. So I've got a 13 thousandths feeler gauge now, and what I'm going to do is just we'll push that up until it's just clear in there. Move my blade down. And let's see, there we go. I think what I'll do, because the way this blade's tightened up, I'm going to leave that feeler gauge in there. I'm going to tighten this up on the front and see if I can get that to kind of hold right there. And yeah, we still got that gap in the back here. And I'm going to see if I can push. Okay, that's just touching it there. All right, I think that's pretty good. So make sure that's good and tight. I think it is. All right, so next thing is to put the handle on here. And it just drops down on this little post. And we got a bolt that goes through here. Yeah, that bolt's a little bit long. I think I'm going to put a fresh one in here that's a little bit shorter. Let me go grab one. Well, I got an 1.5 bolt, which is what was in there. And I got a 2-inch bolt, which isn't quite long enough. So I need an 1.75 inches. I'm just going to go ahead and put this, I'll put a fresh one in here. But go ahead and put this one in. It's a little bit too long. We will, I'll swap it out later. I'll get the proper size bolt and we'll get that in there later. Well, guys, I got it mounted over here on my welding bench. I just got it clamped down temporarily here. I'll need to get some holes drilled in here and get it bolted down permanently, but I'm anxious to try it out. Here's a little piece of sheet metal. This just happens to be some 22 gauge stuff that I had laying around the shop, but let's try her out. Whoa, yeah. That thing is cutting like butter. I love it. So you can do a radius on this. No problem at all. Yeah, I'm liking it. So get you a little close up here, you know, just make a little thin cut here. And then again, if you want to do a radius, of course you could put a line on there and just follow that around. Boom. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Well, there you go, guys. That's going to be a wrap on the restoration of the little Beverly Shear here. Nice little quick restoration project. Didn't take very long. This is a great kind of a project for somebody that's new to doing restoration work or wanting to start doing some machinery restoration. Find you something like this that can be done very quickly and easily without having to go through a whole lot of stuff. It kind of just breaks you into the processes involved in doing a restoration. And this was a great project because this is a piece that we can definitely use in the shop. I'm going to get this mounted over on my welding bench. Probably just leave it permanently mounted out here. We'll get that done very soon, and another nice little addition to the shop, another great little tool to have around, and I'm really looking forward to being able to use this on projects down the road. So again, guys, thank you as always for watching. Leave me some comments if you like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.